and welcome to Just Three Workplace Gurus, a podcast about the real world of work. I'm Amy.
And I'm Vivian.
Today, we have the opportunity to discuss the Coldplay and astronomer debacle. We've all been entertained by the news of what's been happening, and it really allowed us a chance to maybe talk about inappropriate workplace relationships that maybe that some of us have experienced or observed. So, Mike and Vivian, either of you want to share any of your experiences? I'm sure you were not involved in them.
I feel like I have to do a disclaimer because
Big
my wife and
disclaimer.
I met waiting tables in a restaurant. So we were
I
working
love it.
together.
So you were the hanky panky
You
at work.
are.
I love it.
Well, yeah, my wife likes to tell the story about us sneaking
Turned
into
out
the
well.
walk-in to do a little smooching and eat a couple pieces of cheese. We didn't.
My God.
That was probably like, twice in our relationship. But
Cheese gives you bad breath.
but when you're young
Clearly it wasn't
and
a
you're
problem.
just, in love. Anyway, so I mean, and I will say this, restaurants are sort of a haven for bad behavior. I mean, I could do an hour just on that subject alone. I met Joan, and then we probably worked together for 4 months. I don't remember. It wasn't very long.
Before you dated
dating,
or what?
and then we dated for 9 months, were engaged for 9 months, and got married. So, boom, done.
So this is a plug for hanky panky in the workplace. This is great.
Well, in my case, yes. Great. In the case of astronomer, oh hell no! I don't know what.
Oh hell no! Yeah. Also, don't go to Coldplay concerts if you.
Well, there's that too. I mean, but also you weren't married. You weren't in a previous relationship.
That's true.
We were not. Yeah. We were young.
There's a big difference.
I know a lot of couples who met actually at restaurants. I have two friends. Yes. I think he was the chef. She was a server, and they're married now. And there's somebody else I know who met their person. I think they were waiting tables together. So I think that's not uncommon.
I don't think it is at all. And I think that probably still happens in retail too. And it's okay if it happens in the workplace as long as it's above board. I mean, you got to just be careful. I did work at a company headquartered here in Northern California a few years ago where we had 7 couples working in the company. Now, some of them met in the office. Most of them did not. For the most part, they ended up in completely different departments. But there were a couple cases where they worked down the hall from each other or whatever. Worked well, I have an employee who is married to another employee, and they just had their first baby a little over a year ago, who is an official baby of, you can only really be an official baby in the company if you were born to 2 parents who are employees. So he's the first.
That's like a unicorn.
Yeah.
I see.
Do they get a onesie with your company name on it, or what do you get to be official?
Yeah, you get a onesie and a blanket. But anyway,
cool.
But those are all good things.
Well,
there is the other side that we should talk about, which is.
Yeah, you're right. Because in my husband's company, there's 2 people that met at the company. I don't know if they carried on secretly or not. I'm not sure. But they're married, and they've been married for 20 plus years and all good. But is there an unwritten rule or a written rule that you're not supposed to date coworkers, or is it just frowned upon just because if you break up, it's bad?
I think how do you say the word
fraternization?
I think it's in some employee handbooks.
Yeah,
really?
It is. Yeah. I mean,
it's not in our employee handbook, but we work virtually. I don't see how they would date. Well, no, I'm sure they could.
All of a sudden, somebody moves to your hometown, one of your coworkers.
Well, actually, I know somebody. I'm not joking. This wasn't work, but it was an online relationship for 6 years before they met each other. And then when they actually met, it was like love at first sight, in person. They've been together ever since. So, virtual companies can have affairs too.
I'll tell you. So my sleaziest story, if we should just go there, was working at a company quite a few years ago.
Favorite episode yet? Go ahead.
And this was in the days before Zoom and all the stuff that we do now. It was telepresence. We had telepresence, which were these big rooms, huge rooms with 20, 30 theater seats, and then huge screens, and they were monitored. So there was a little teeny tiny camera. Sorry, I'm doing this up here. That watched both sides. So there was a third party managing to ensure that all the meetings were working. Everything was working.
Right.
So,
I feel like something bad's coming.
oh, it is, yeah. So my friend, who shouldn't have told me these things, but
They
sometimes he
did.
had to. This was not one time where he had to. I have another one where he had to. He called me one day and he said, "So I got to tell you, there's an employee here in Northern California, an employee on the East Coast, having an affair." And I said, "Okay, well, they're having it in the telepresence room."
As we speak.
And my first thought was,
Wait a minute.
there's
Wait.
a camera on, somebody's watching them. And he said,
Yeah,
"How the hell do you think I
exactly.
found out about it?"
Yeah.
And then he says to me, "And you know them." And I
Oh,
immediately said, "I don't want to know. I can't,
Never tell me.
I
Right.
don't, and I still don't know. I have no clue,
Oh my
none
God.
whatsoever, who these
Wow.
two people were."
Oh.
Needless, and I don't even remember if we ever got any kind of resolution to that. Anyway, my favorite one, and this isn't really hanky panky, but it's still sort of sexual, is he called me one day and he said, "I have to go to San Francisco and I'm looking for this person's workstation in the office." And I said, "Okay, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, he's running a porn site on a server under his desk." And I said, "So you're going up there to steal the server?" And he said, "I'll call you when I leave." And so he went
oh
in there,
my God.
took the server, put it in his car, and drove home. And he called me when he got in the car. And he said, "I got it, all set, no problem." And that was that. Just shut the guy down.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Well, I just I want to go back to this handbook thing 'cause I swear to God this is coming as a surprise. So I just did like ChatGPT as
You
we're
need to
talking.
rewrite your handbook now, Vivian?
It sounds
What the
like
heck?
it. She needs to add some
Wait a minute.
live.
But wait,
Yeah,
here it says
Amy, you and
the
I need to
common
go into our handbooks and grab a little bit of language and
I
send it
think
to her.
no,
so.
no, no, but here's the deal. Okay, so there's 5 things that are common in handbook approaches according to ChatGPT. Ready?
So this is Bible. This is it.
Wait, disclosure requirements. I never heard of this. Employees, usually in supervisory roles, may be required to disclose romantic relationships to HR to manage conflicts of interest, favoritism, or perceived bias. I can see that.
Yes.
All
Yep.
right, ready? No
Well,
dating in
so
reporting.
most of the companies I've worked at recently literally do not allow that.
Yeah. You can't
Wow.
report
Well,
to
I
your
think,
loved one.
Right.
right. So our astronomer guy really blew it.
Yeah.
Oh
Not
yeah.
the guy. Yeah, like really blew it. Okay.
Yeah.
And dating HR, like that's a double whammy. But okay, no dating in
There
reporting
are so
chain.
many things wrong with this, and it's
There are
all
so
been
many things.
said all over the internet.
Oh my God. Okay, but wait, I have to keep going. No
By the
dating and
way, did you
reporting.
know? No, sorry, I hate to interrupt. Did you know that this is now a thing? If you are discovered publicly having an affair, you've been cold played. It's a thing. It's a
See,
thing.
this is how like language keeps evolving, and I wonder if this is happening in like all languages around the world. Like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, that's a good
tu
question.
es complained.
Yeah. Can you do
Oh
that
my
for us
goodness.
in French?
I guess tu es complained. I don't know. Well, vous êtes complained because you have plural. Okay, ready? Many handbooks prohibit relationships between a manager and a direct report or anyone in the reporting line. I think in my husband's case, the now marriage of 20 years, I think it started with one reporting to the other. Oops. This protects the company from claims of favoritism. Okay, it's sort of like number one. Now, no public displays of affection. Some policies set expectations around professional conduct and discourage PDA at work. Huh, never heard that. Uh, so there's a lot of conflict of interest and harassment considerations that I'm seeing here. And then it says fraternization policies. In certain industries, military, law enforcement, corrections, etc., handbooks may include strict fraternization. I can't say the word fraternization rules, but even then they tend to focus on chain of command and perceived authority. So now if you're like two equals, no problem. But if you're,
Yeah.
Technically,
That's
yes.
yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, the hard part of this is a lot of people meet at work. Like they
Well, I
do.
was going to say you spend more
You
time with
spend more
your
time.
You
colleagues
do.
than probably anybody else like in your life.
And you go through a mix of emotions throughout, right? You see how people handle
Oh
stressful
yeah.
situations or
Yeah.
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 mm.
So it
So
makes sense you
I
would
don't know
meet
what to
people and
say.
things can spark,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
And
mean, they
also
do.
alcohol plays into that, right?
Well,
You have like think of when companies do like a
that's true.
off-site or like
That's
a
true.
trip or something like that, a
That's
sales
true.
meeting,
An offsite conference.
a
You're in Vegas.
conference,
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Like, who
hotels.
knows? But
Yeah.
so
oh, I've
over the
never given this much
years,
thought.
without getting into a ton of detail, over the years, because security is often a part of my job, my
Uh,
team or I or both or all of us have had to investigate this stuff. And it, I mean, it's not fun. And when you're in the middle of it, you realize, they may have made a terrible error, but you're now having to, investigate something that potentially could cost them their job. I mean, it's not a lot of,
and what if
uh,
you're like legitimately in love? Like then you're like going to break up. Like
yeah, but I will honestly tell you more often than not, the relationships that I've had to investigate are
are like flings.
two married people.
Well, oh, that's not good.
This starts across all sorts of
Yes.
funny boundaries.
And if
I
you
mean,
know them and you know their families, like,
Ugh.
if it's somebody you know well and you happen to know their or their spouse and their children, like it's really
Uh-huh.
difficult when you have to go out there. And we obviously keep all this stuff confidential. That's part of the job.
Ugh.
But it's
Well, that's
still just
very
I've had
stressful.
conversations with team people on my team or with a boss to say this is what we know, and it's just like sometimes you just don't want to know. Your
Of
first
course you don't want to
inclination is
know.
to say I'm not hearing this, I'm not, because these are people you know
Wow.
and like and work with, and you're potentially having to make significant decisions about their future because of this situation. and
so
and the
here's where
first thing
I
that
would
always,
struggle.
yeah, go.
If you're married and I work with you and you're having an affair with somebody else, your credibility is gonna go way down with
Oh
how
yeah.
how I perceive you, right? Because I
Oh
can't.
yeah.
How do I trust you? How credible are you? What are you? What like? That's where I think it's going to create a contentious work relationship. You put me in this situation. Now I have to know this,
Right.
and
Beyond
I know
those
your
two people
family.
involved, everybody who knows about it is
Well,
also involved.
that's true,
Yeah.
and that's a
Yeah.
burden. That's a burden, especially if you
Yeah.
on any level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
this like
I mean, I have a hard time with the whole affair situation anyway, which is just sort of my upbringing and my marriage, but I don't get it.
with you.
I've never really gotten it. And,
I don't
uh,
get it either.
I remember this
But
coming up a few years ago. What would you do if you found out that your brother-in-law was cheating on your sister-in-law or your sister or whatever? And I'm like, I can't, the idea of ever finding out that a brother-in-law was cheating on a sister, like I can't even imagine dealing with that. Like I don't know, not
it's
unacceptable. And then yes, you're right, Amy. How do you establish any kind of
well,
ongoing relationship with those
I
people?
know just a little bit of an offshoot. I know somebody who's younger and on the dating app. And on the dating app, they saw a family friend, the husband of a family friend, a couple. And she was like, swipe left to get rid of him. But then she's like, so she held it in and finally she talked to her parents. She's like, I have something really awkward and terrible to tell you. And so was on my whatever dating app. And like, are they okay? Or maybe it was parents were friends of the parents, and it was maybe the son-in-law who was on the dating app. I think that's what it was. And her parents wound up getting into the biggest fight on the planet because one thought we must tell them, the other one said we're absolutely not telling them.
Yeah,
But it can cause all sorts of like drama and trauma. Like so, this is far-reaching.
I think it's really surprising to me how people who are successful, intelligent, thoughtful can just go off the rails and do something like this. And then Amy's
Well, yeah.
absolutely right. How do you deal with that? If you have to work with this person and you know about it, I mean, it can change your relationship with
Now, what if there's no affair? It's like just strictly, now two single people and they meet and they're legit. So then it seems like there's more of a conflict if there's that chain of command issue, right? Because like Would you be upset if one of your colleagues, like two of your colleagues, you found out, oh, they're dating, no foul play, no, there's no chain of command, they're like on par with each other. Would that bother you?
No.
It doesn't bother me. What I've heard a lot of people do, I have a couple when I was managing that I didn't even know they were dating, and I was managing both of them at the time. I ended up leaving the company, and right after I left, they told me they'd been dating for 9 months and they were going to be getting married.
Oh,
But I had no idea like that they were dating. What I hear a lot of couples will do is one will leave the company, right? One will go
I've
find a
heard that
job
too.
somewhere else.
see, that makes sense to me. Then there's
Yeah.
no, right?
Well, I mean, think about like our jobs. We do it all day long. And then what do you want to go home and still talk about it at home with your
Well,
spouse? Like,
sure. I know many people work together or they
oh,
have business together
forget it.
and it works, but yeah, so that's interesting.
I had a couple meet during a project, so it was a construction project, and they worked for different companies. I didn't know that they were seeing each other, and I did know that were they had rocky marriages, so I think they were coming to an end anyway. But I remember somebody else saying, "Oh, I saw so and so at a baseball game," and I said, "Oh, like they just went to a baseball game together?" And she said, "No, what's the matter with you?" And I
What?
said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "They're dating." And I said, they're like, I know, this is people I sit with like 2 or 3 times a week in meetings. They've now been married for 20, I think 20 years,
I
but,
love it.
and I'm happy for them. And they were in unhappy marriages, and you just never know how people are going to meet,
You never know. Well,
and blend families and all that stuff. So I'm genuinely really happy for them, but I was completely oblivious to the fact that they were actually, you know,
that's so funny.
potentially flirting with each other in the middle of a meeting. And I literally didn't
You're
know.
like, eh?
I had no idea.
Well, speaking of that, I had sort of the opposite thing happen. I was at my dentist and and I knew he was married. And then his assistant came in and they were beyond flirtatious. I felt like I'm uncomfortable being in the chair. Would you two like go
Those are some
somewhere?
close quarters. Yeah, they're
Anyway,
very,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she was giving him
But there is
eyes and he was
usually a
giving her
human
eyes.
being in between you.
No, no,
yeah.
no. But I was just like, what is happening here? It turns out she was his wife.
Wait,
And I was like, oh, and here my head is getting all judgy and I'm about to fire my dentist. I was like, and then I was like, somehow they said something about like their kids. And I was like, wait, you're married? She's like, oh yeah.
and you still like him? You're giving him twinkle eyes she's
I think
giving him
it's
a,
great that she's giving him twinkle eyes.
I was going to say that's a good marriage if they have to spend all their time together.
But I
That's
was so sure they
pretty
were
funny.
carrying on and it was not above board. And I was getting all like, my brain. And then I was like, well, but then they were making me uncomfortable. So really, they could have not done that in the workplace either.
Yeah, I think you guys keep some level of professionalism.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like maybe if you go
So
out for drinks afterward, that's a different deal. But yeah, making googly eyes at each other over a patient in a dental chair seems a little bit wrong to me.
no, they were like steamy flirting. I was just like, okay now. So that whole PDA thing in the handbook, I have to
Yes.
investigate this handbook thing. But that makes sense to me. And the chain of command really makes sense to me. But if you're like two equals and one should leave the company, that doesn't make sense to me. As long as they don't break up, because then that could be miserable for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I have known over the years of a few affairs literally in the office, and it's
Oh,
just hard to take. Like I don't even like to think about it. And these are people that I knew well.
so did you have to confront and say, hey, like, no.
No, that's typically the people team, but I have to provide the data for them to, you know, dates and
What do
times.
you say if you're HR? Like, you need to stop dating? No, you don't say you don't have to stop dating. You have to say one of you can't work here. Both of you are fired. Like, what happens?
We should have had Samantha on today to talk through this subject with us. Our HR consultant friend. Like, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I think you're right. At some point, they need to make a decision as to how they're going to manage it, and some change may need to be
I
made.
think something that needs to be considered too is how many people they can bring into this that are kind of innocent bystanders, right? You've got the two people who are doing
Edwin,
whatever they're doing.
the hanky
Yep.
panky.
But then you might have like your HR person, right, who's now got to deal with this. Maybe there was a person who spotted them who had to report it. There's their own personal families or loved ones. Like it's such a selfish act that it takes out a lot of people. And not to go back to this astronomer scenario, but I mean, he will go and start up another company and he'll do really well. The other women, the HR woman and I think she's an assistant or with the other girl that was with them, what's she going to find now? Like, that's a
Wait,
really hard position.
why do you think he'll do well? He got booted out.
Yeah,
He
but
lost his job.
if he's an entrepreneurial CEO,
You'll find a
I
way. I
don't,
think Amy's absolutely
You
right
think so?
about that. We
Really?
talked about that here at lunch that day at the office.
I remember that, and then I saw that he got the boot, and I was like, oh, good. Like,
they
But
should,
they both got
but
the boot.
fair. He'll go find something else.
Yeah, he'll go start up another company. He's got some friends, misogynist friends who will say, good on you, and we'll put you in this position, or let's go start this up. But will those two women land on their feet?
Now,
It's hard to say.
also a head of HR. Like, that's just not a smart thing to do. Like, I want you to be my head of HR. Like, I
But
don't think so.
but since we're in that, number one, how about you don't go anyplace public where you might be filmed? And number two, when you are, NO on the PDA. Like,
PD.
just stand at far ends of the room.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
if you
yeah.
are on camera, don't act like there's anything wrong. No one would have ever said a word. No one would ever have known.
But
People would
didn't
have known them on the screen. Like, that's the thing, is you're gonna
Well,
go to a
yeah,
big
you're right,
venue like
maybe.
that.
But it's not
and this
on
was
television.
broadcast to
It's not,
millions of people. Like, that was
yeah,
a
it's
horrifying
not on
moment.
Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn and,
Like, it went viral quickly.
Quick.
But go back to your telepresence room. Like, that's the other thing. Like, if you are gonna date, like, why would you like do what you're gonna do in the office on the premise? Like, I mean, I understand why, but like, why? That's just
The
dumb.
excitement of getting caught.
I get. I
go
mean, yeah.
yeah. Well, nothing in the office. Like, don't do anything in the office. Get
Like
out of my office. I mean, I built this stuff. I don't want you using it for that. Like, get
oh,
out.
oh,
Go away.
right.
Yeah. It just gets to me. Yeah.
Are we just like a bunch of prudes? I don't know.
I think so. We have too many values, apparently.
Well,
No,
we've
but see,
also
We're,
all
or we're
been
very naive.
we've all been married a
It's
long
a very
time.
long time.
here's the thing. I don't want to be judgy, and I don't want to say like, but it's just use common sense, right? And like, you're right. If you are going to be dating and there's anything askew, and I don't even mean affairs, like you're the manager, that's your employee, like just be smart about it. I mean, don't do it, but be smart
Right,
about it.
don't
If
do
you're
about it. Yeah.
like, don't go to the teleconference room and be on camera. Like,
I think the larger problem you hit on, Vivian, is common sense. I mean, we sometimes common sense with people just goes out the window. And I do think one of the things that the three of us has in common and keeps us friends is we have moments that stop us where we think, okay, what is the right thing to do? And a lot of people may not have that or choose not to have that.
yeah.
But I think all of us think like that and try to make good decisions for our friends and our family and our colleagues.
I really do think if you have direct reports or you're a business supervisor, owner, like you're somebody who has I don't want to say something over somebody. I hate that because I feel like everybody's a team within a company. But like,
Responsibility to them.
but if you have a responsibility and there can be an abuse of power, that's a bad thing, right? Or if it's against company policy, like just don't do that. Like just don't.
But
And too many people do abuse it. I mean, there's like a very dark side of this that we haven't even talked about, where people suffer at the hands of coercion or just abuse, or and
yeah,
then
manipulation, abuse, bullying, all that. Yeah, all that stuff. It is
so
interesting that you say that because I mean, I have a big team, just like, well, a small team this time, but I have had big teams over the years, Viv, like you have. And I think about them a lot in the decisions I make. And, what happens to the team is really important. I feel a great responsibility to them and their career and encouraging them and creating a safe environment for them. And so I think about that a lot just in the everyday, not because of anything inappropriate, but like what am I doing to help them be successful and safe and all those things? And I think we don't probably teach that enough
Yeah.
in companies, to really think
Yeah.
about the people that you work with and what you're doing to be a
You
member.
mean all those HR tutorial things that we have to get certifications on? I say
Same
that's how I'm getting cold played because I'm pretty sure now we just got another hour of tutorials every year.
We did. Think so. We've combined internet security, the infosec and all the legal and all the HR stuff into one. And
Right.
I want to say I might be wrong about this. My boss is going to kill me if I get this wrong, but I want to say we have 6 to 7 hours of tests to take. But I
And they're
did it.
like, "Are you still there? You better click
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't just like,
And if you get it
Exactly.
wrong, then you got to go
yeah,
back to the
gotta go back
beginning
over it."
and go all over it again. I think so. What I did this last time, because it's pretty arduous, is I just took, like, there are segments, the way we do it. And I just took a segment a day. Like, okay, today I'm going to just get that one done. Tomorrow, I will do this one. And I worked through it
Yeah.
through the week, and then I got them all done. But you could tell that's all anybody was doing, because you'd look around, people. I'm taking my whatever section it was, my sexual harassment training section.
Yeah.
But I have to say, it's really important that that's there,
Oh,
right?
no question.
It's critical that it's there because there was a once upon a time that wasn't there, and people suffered. What was that
Yes.
Very
movie?
much.
Wait, what was that movie with? Oh my God, what's her name?
You reminded me of
Michael
Mad Men.
Douglas.
Like, everybody should go back and watch Mad Men. Like, talk about bad behavior.
Oh my God, it was blatant. It was ridiculous. Yes, but it was that way. But
Yes.
what was that amazing movie with Demi Moore and Michael Douglas? And she seduces him. It's a great movie. And then he doesn't go through with it, but he's married. And then she sues him for sexual harassment. But she's like the CEO. Are you looking up the movie?
Yeah, I am.
It was a
Disclosure.
Disclosure.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't seen Disclosure, it was great
I
because
do remember that.
it
Weren't they
goes.
having all hands? Like, they had a big open area in the office, and they were having all hands meetings, and you could see them all conniving with each other. This vaguely sounds familiar now. Yeah.
Remember that, but she really because he rejected her, she filed a sexual harassment suit against him when it was her who seduced him, and she caused all sorts of horror things. Anyway, watch the movie Disclosure.
I feel like
It
what
makes you
we're
think.
talking about today is cautionary tales. Don't do that.
Yes, well, let's call this cautionary
Don't do
tale.
this. Yeah.
Be smart. But me personally, I still have no qualms if it's like two people on equal footing and it's legit and they happen to fall in love at work.
As long as it doesn't affect their performance, go for it.
Or their ability to work together, Yeah.
Yeah. Or right, because if they're having a bad day,
Yeah.
and it
We
spills
don't
over.
all need to go. It's very awkward to be across the table if those two were in there feeling not liking each other for the day and you're sitting in there trying to get some business done. Can
Exactly.
you imagine?
You know when you meet those couples who like one complains about the other one in front of you, and then you're
Yes.
like, "Hey, this makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like, could you
Yeah.
not do that?" So, like, if that were happening in the workplace, no good.
Or
It
the
is
passive
funny,
aggressive.
when we worked together after we were married later in a restaurant, in another restaurant for a
And
while.
another, but you went in already dating? Yes,
Already married.
already
Like,
married.
she
See, that's a little
continued,
different.
and I had a job, and then I went back to school, so I came back to the restaurant. And so now we're working together. And there were other couples working in the like couple of other couples, married
Interesting.
couples
And you
working together.
disclosed that to management,
Oh yeah, everybody knew. Yeah, everybody
and
knew.
they didn't care.
No, they didn't care. But, like, if I was having a bad day, then everybody would go to my wife and say, "What's up with Mike? What's going on with him today?" And that annoyed her. Like, she was annoyed at me because I was causing the problem that they would go to her. So, there's also the how do you work together effectively
Because
problem.
I have had a long time ago, I had an employee who said we had an open position. He said, would you consider my wife in this role?" And we really thought about it, and we thought that could be a good fit. And then we had a discussion saying maybe that's not a good idea. Anyway, something happened. I can't remember, and either the wife got a job or we went in another direction. But there was that conversation. I remember, just like,
When I was looking for somebody for a job recently, and my wife said, "Well, what's that job?" She wanted to know all about it, and I told her, and she said, "Well, how much does it pay?" And I told her, and
I
then
can
I
do
said,
that.
"You no, you can't come to work. Why can't I come to work?" I said, "Well, first of all, you can't work for me. There's a rule around. And
Right,
second
it's
of
in my
all,
handbook.
that isn't going to work. Have you met us? Like this is not effective.
Do
Yeah.
you know us? That's funny because
Do
I
you really
yeah,
want me telling you what to do? I mean,
Especially sometimes it can be a role reversal. Let's say hypothetically at work, you would be
she was
telling
telling
her
you what
what
to
to
do.
do, but at home she's telling you what to
yeah,
do.
Could I work with
not
my? Let me think about this. I could, but I think I'd rather not. I think I'd like that separation.
neither of you ever worked with your spouse ever.
Nope,
No.
nope, don't plan on it.
Don't play because you kind of you were Amy. You worked with your family, not a spouse,
I
but
worked
with
in
your
a
family.
family business for years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
hard too.
It's very hard. That's that part where I was saying, like, we would come home in the evenings and at dinner, all we did was talk about the business. And it's like all we had, like, not in common, but it was really what we talked about almost all the time. And it was pretty detrimental to your relationship. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I can
that's
see
why I
that.
feel like you want to have some separation. I remember when we were going through, I'm Catholic, so marriage counseling is like required for you to get married in the Catholic Church. And my husband and I went, and we were young, and they were like, "What do you guys talk about when you get home?" And we talked about work like every day when we came home because we were new in our professional careers, and
Yeah,
they
stories to
challenged
tell.
us to not talk about work when we came home. It actually
I had
changed
nothing to
our
say. Was it good?
no, it changed our whole relationship, right? Because it was more about what are our goals? Like, what do we want to achieve? What do we want to do together? What do we want to it just changed that whole conversation, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I have a whole marriage encounter story I can share offline with you later, Amy.
Fine. Come on, do
Well,
tell. All
it's
right.
kind of unrelated to this, but yeah, I understand. Communication, very funny.
Funny story though about it. I'm going to jump in that really quick but it goes into relationships, but they were like, you need to just, if you're arguing, all you do is you go on a walk and hold hands. And I was like, okay, so the whole neighborhood's going to know when we're having an argument because we're walking really briskly around the neighborhood holding hands. I'm like, that ain't going
We,
to work very
Tight
well.
grip, yeah.
Yeah. Pulling one another.
There was a lot about that. Yeah, we could do a whole episode just on marriage encounter.
Ugh,
That
yeah.
was an interesting. There were two couples in our marriage encounter who broke up,
Wow.
well,
and ours was
See.
right after the '89 earthquake. That was a whole yeah.
oh,
Anyway, whole story though. Off the subject. Off the subject. Anyway,
interesting.
where do we want to wind down on this? I mean, I think we've made our perspective pretty clear, but I think it's worth kind of saying what
I
we're
think
saying.
my takeaway would be, as far as cautionary tale, like if you truly have a spark with somebody at work, right? Like, think it through. I don't know. I mean, here's my thing. If you have to keep something secret, you have to ask yourself why. And whatever is causing that to be a secret, right? Because that's not the healthiest thing for anybody. So in a work situation, I would say, like, you know, not in a chain of command, like, and it's sort of like that on par, it's equal. I think it's probably important to disclose it, I think, or completely hide it. Like one or the other, like just really be overt about it and say, yes, whatever is going on with us, or just like take your business outside of work and do you, but like at work, just keep it clean. That would be my takeaway. What's your takeaway, Amy?
My takeaway is to think about all the other people that are involved in this and to not be selfish and think of like what the long-term consequences would be. So, if you really are going to be do this, just think about all the people that are going to be involved in this. We can only keep secrets for so long before they get found out.
Right.
I think that's
And be
very
smart. And
true, Amy.
whatever you do,
Very
don't
true.
go to the telepresence room
Yep.
on
Yeah,
camera.
don't go to the telepresence room.
And what
By
about
the
you,
way,
Mike?
not only that, let's just be real. There's cameras everywhere. Like companies have
Everywhere.
cameras all over their
Everywhere.
offices. Like so you're going to get caught.
This has been said to me for the nearly 30 years that I have been in this job. There is almost nothing that happens in this office that I don't know about.
Uh,
It's just a fact. And I'm not walking around sneaking up on people and listening up on conversations.
it's just going to come
Just,
to your, yeah.
yeah, people tell me stuff. I see stuff. Particularly we workplace people, we just kind of know where all the bodies are buried. So
No, no,
just
you're
be
absolutely
aware
right.
that I'm probably going to find out about it eventually.
Like building. Like I always have this fantasy of this, like a sitcom called The Doorman, because the doorman knows everything about everyone. You're
Yes.
in that. You're in that. You're in
I
that
remember
boat.
you telling me that. Yeah, I love that story.
Like,
This was years ago. I worked at a company where we were going to move next to the HR team, and the team was a little worried about it, and so we had to go to the head of HR to talk to her about it. And Rena looked at the women on the HR team and she said, "Who are you girls kidding? Mike knows more about what's going on in this company than anybody. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine."
that's great. That's great. So our takeaway: love who you're gonna love, and just be smart about it.
Yeah,
There it is. I love it.
there it is.
Exactly. All right.
Well,
Well,
thanks everyone for joining us. This was a fun conversation.
It
yes.
was.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. And if you're on one of the other Spotify, whatever, give us a like, follow us, and thanks for tuning in.
Bye.